Once in a blue moon, a game comes out that captures the feel of what retro is. Tiny Thor is one of those games. I played the demo earlier in 2022 and I had an absolute blast. I was able to get an early access key thanks to the publisher IndieForge, and retro heads rejoice. Tiny Thor is a must-have, especially if you want something that has more of a Sega Genesis aesthetic. The devs made this more than just a simple platformer. Tiny Thor is an excellent mixture of precision and puzzle platforming encapsulated with great 16-bit pixel art and soundtrack which resembles that of the Genesis grid. Players will be exploring more than 30 stages within a Norse mythology backdrop. Players will control their titular character, Tiny Thor, the man himself, on his birthday. This marks a special occasion because he is gifted Mjölnir from his father Odin. Don't be mistaken though, Thor won't be pulling off aerial raves and ultra combos. Mjölnir's primary function is to solve puzzles and its secondary function is to turn any who cross his path into straight up pixie dust. Thor has two methods of launching Mjölnir, a quick throw in 8 primary directions. This is the fast and loose way to play, but don't be mistaken, most, if not all, puzzles can be completed via this method. There is also a much more precise method by holding down the right trigger. I was playing on pad, so at R2 for, most people out there. This allows Thor to wind up Mjölnir and control aiming with a thumbstick to launch death precisely at your enemies. Or puzzles, either way. Puzzles are simple enough in the beginning area, Midgar. As Thor progresses though on his adventure, he'll unlock new abilities such as double jump, wall jumping, and multi-hammers, more just by defeating bosses. Most of these movements and controls well when it comes to precision platforming and puzzle solving, but in my almost 10 hours of playing, I was not able to get wall jumping down. I'm not sure why, maybe I was missing some sort of input. It's kind of tricky because you have to press the opposite direction of whichever wall you're hanging onto and press jump at the same time. If your timing is off, Thor is going to go straight down to whatever pit that he's flying above. And at the later levels, it can be a little bit frustrating. Thankfully, checkpoints are appropriately placed, so even if I messed up in a section, I didn't feel like I had to take a hike to continue my progress. The level design teaches the player how to think creatively and how to use the walls, hills, angles, and even the frame of the screen to solve puzzles with Mjölnir. Every little bump that you see in the stage is intended to be played with. Each level has 3 secret red gems to collect and multiple blue gems as well. Both gems can be completely collected on the first run of a stage, which means no backtracking is required. This game respects your time, right? If you're good enough at finding secrets, and there are upgrades that made finding secrets easier, you can 100% this on your first run. The red gems can be used to unlock challenge levels, which are real nice if you're all about that nice perfect precision platforming, and each new challenge level incorporates the upgrade that you recently got. Blue gems are spent on upgrades at shops throughout the world. This could be simple as changing the color of Tiny Thor, or seeing how long his aiming goes 50% longer. There's a lot of upgrades that are useful here. Let me splurge on this sprite art here though. Look at the levels, dude. This artwork is chef's kiss. They're teeming with color, vibrancy, and life. There are 3 main areas that you're going to be exploring. You're going to start off in Midgard, right? Everybody knows that. It's nice, a little tricky, a little dangerous, but we're familiar with this. And then eventually, hopefully I can pronounce this right, you're going to traverse through the tricky tunnels of Svartalfheim? I think so? Excuse me, I'm not really into Norse. And you're going to finish, of course, at the Arctic tundras of Niflheim. If this art looks kind of familiar to you, it's because you've probably seen Hank Nieborg's work before. He is an industry veteran who's done work for Contra, Shantae, and Battle Axe. It's gorgeous. Look at this stuff. Tiny Thor is a labor of love from individuals who know what makes a modern retro game work. I cannot give a higher recommendation than picking it up on launch day. If you're watching this while it's on its initial release, Tiny Thor is going on sale for $19.99 US with a 10% discount during its initial release week. So it's gonna come out on the 5th, June 5th. Pick it up, dude. If you're into retro stuff, you're gonna be missing out if you don't. It's an excellent platformer with some challenging segments, but nothing feels impossible here. It's the appropriate amount of stimulus. The music, the gameplay, and artwork combine to make one of the better Metamoral retro experiences of 2023. Honestly, if you don't pick this up as a retro player, you're probably going to miss out, especially if you're into Sega Genesis stuff, man. It sounds so good. I was like, damn, man, if Sega Genesis games were like this, I might have actually liked the Sega Genesis more as a kid. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Nintendo kid. But Genesis, I've slowly grown an appreciation for Genesis, and that what makes me love Tiny Thor just that much more. Thanks again for checking out another review of mine, and IndieForge for providing a review key. This review would not have been possible without them. And of course, the dev team for reaching out even until its initial demo. There's a demo out there right now. I'm not sure if it's gonna stay up when the game comes out, but these guys are amazing, man. Go support them. If you love retro gaming, these guys are the ones that are gonna be leading some of the better games. See you in the next content drop, homies.